Hey guys, welcome to my channel Moodle Arjun. My name is Arjun, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to work with web services in Moodle. Now, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on bell notification. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. What I have here is a Moodle setup which is a version 3.10. If you open version.php, you can see here on my screen it's showing 3.10 version. So we are good to go with this. First, let me tell about the web services, what exactly these are. So these are the ways or methods of communication between two electronic devices over a network. It can be two multiple applications built on different platforms using different languages. So basically an interface that defines interaction between multiple software applications. To make use of this, we use APIs, which are basically a set of functions or procedures that allows the happening or the exchanging of the data between these multiple applications. Let me quickly log into my application using an admin account. Once you log in, you will get that interface, which totally depends on the theme you are using. So by default, you will get this look and feel. Before actually working with the web services, we need to enable few settings from the site administration, which I'm going to show you one by one. Let's begin with writing down the steps which we are going to do one by one, ranging from the enabling of all the settings and developing a plugin and running the API. I recommend you to perform all these steps one by one using an admin account, because you won't have any restrictions if you use an admin account. Now to begin with, as a first step, I need to enable web services, which is by default disabled into the site. And then we have to enable protocols. Basically there are three: REST, SOAP and XML RPC. We don't use XML RPC. I'm just going to use or enable REST and SOAP. And third step will be creating a token, and before creating a token we need to develop a plugin to write the web services in it. To enable web services, we need to go to site administration and look for advanced features option over here. Let me zoom it a little bit. Yeah, better now. So once you click on the advanced features, it will take you to a screen where you see an option to enable web services over here. You can just enable that checkbox over there. You can read it exactly why it's needed to enable. I recommend you, for any security reasons, web service should only be enabled if you intend to make use of it. Otherwise you can just keep it disabled mode. Once you have enabled the web services, just scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on Save Changes button. So we have just enabled the web services. As a next step, we need to enable the protocols. That is our second step. We are done with the first. Let's go to the second step right now. Once you go to the site administration and click on the plugins tab, scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will see some settings which are referring to web services over here. As we can see, there are 5 options given over here, like overview and API documentation. First two you can go and explore by yourself. These are basically tells you that these are the settings which needs to be enabled before writing an APIs or calling an APIs externally or internally within the application. So you can just go and read it all over here, the descriptions given. Let me tell you a few things about Moodle core methods, which are basically the APIs which are already written inside the core of Moodle. So these are the services which are designed in such a way, like these are a clean set of functions with very little overlap. Each web service function should return minimal required information. If you explore, you can just click on these things and you can see all the arguments and the response what you get here. So there is a huge list over here. You can go and explore by yourself. One more thing I wanted to show you, what Moodle has written for its mobile app. So basically the person or whosoever is using the mobile application, these are the services which are used to send data from the web application to the mobile application, and all the syncing happens with the use of these services written over here. So once you are working with the Moodle mobile application, you can go through each and explore more about it. Coming back to our second step, which was basically to enable the protocols, let me show you how to do that. So you have this page from the plugin web services. If you click manage protocols, we come to this page. So these are the officially supported protocols inside a Moodle application: REST, SOAP, XML, RPC. We have AMF also, but that is not in the support as of now. The REST is basically which accepts get and post parameters and return XML and JSON values. And SOAP is basically based on the Zen SOAP server, but the current server implementation does not work with Java and .NET. So we have enabled and saved the changes. So we are done with the second step right now. Now let's move on to the third step over here, which is manage tokens. As you can see on this page, there are no tokens over here to display for any user or for any web service. Tokens are required to call a particular web service function over on protocol. So basically the protocol server uses this token to check that the user who is calling the function can actually call the functions. Now before creating the token, we should have a web service of our own. So we haven't created a custom web service as of now. So our third step becomes the fourth, and the fourth step becomes the third step. So right now we need to create a web service, or take it like we need to develop a plugin to create and call the custom web services. So I'm going to develop a local plugin and show you how exactly we can create those functions. So right now I'm in a local folder of the Moodle architecture, and I will create a folder name custom underscore service. So this is going to be our plugin, a local plugin. So I'm going to add few files over here, the same structure which a local plugin should support in Moodle. So I'm going to make a version.php first. So I'll just copy a version.php from another plugin which I have developed earlier, and the component name should be local underscore custom underscore service. Custom underscore service is the name of the plugin, and local should be the prefix. We need to have a db folder, a lang folder, and I have created an external lib.php file where exactly we are going to write our methods in it. Now inside the lang folder there should be an en folder, and the language string file is located over here. The naming convention should be like local underscore the plugin name .php, and once you open it, you can have just written a plugin name string, and the value should be anything that depends on you. I'm just going to write it as a custom web service. So this is the name of my plugin. The next is the db folder. Inside db folder I'm creating a file called as services.php. Since we are not getting any tables or any access, I'm just going to keep it one single file called as services.php. This is the page where exactly we are going to mention the service name, and we are going to declare all our methods in it. So as you can see, till now we have created a structure of a local plugin to be installed inside our Moodle setup. I'm going to explain one by one each and every file inside this plugin, what exactly that means and what is the content of those files line by line. With this example, you are going to get an idea of how the web services infrastructure works. So right now you see this page called as services.php, which is located inside the db folder of my plugin, and basically we declare all the web services functions in this file. In here you can see the function, the variable function, which is an array. Basically the first element is referring to the web service function name. and the class name is basically a class containing the external function. The method name is the external function name, which is actually will return something based on our calculation. And the next line you see is the class path. So it's a file containing the class external function. It's not required if you use namespace auto loading classes. Type is basically says that database writes or the web service function either to read or write, and the ajax is true. That means it's a service available for internal ajax calls. So in the similar fashion, you can add as many functions over here like just I'm showing you. So in case you need to write another method, you can simply put comma and give the name, class name, method name, class path, description, and all other elements. So now just let's go and look at the external lib.php file where exactly or a method has been written and processed to return some outputs. This file is composed by a class that contains the external functions and their descriptive functions. Here we are extending the external underscore API function which is written in the core libraries external lib.php file. So basically every web service function is mapped to an external function, and these are described in the external function APIs. Now each external function is written with two or other functions describing the parameters and the return values. These descriptions functions are used by web services servers basically to first validate the parameters, second validate the functions which are returning values, and third is building files or other protocol documents. So understand like this: we need to write a class name with the plugin name underscore external in the file which is external lib.php. This class will contains three methods: one with the actual method name where we are doing some implementation that is based on either you are updating db or updating any data. Second is using the same function name underscore parameters and the function name underscore return. So there should be three functions associated with one function basically. So in this case I'm writing a function which is basically updating the section titles by fetching the description and it just updating the title. So all this logic is written for that purpose. Now we might need some external files or library files for using some inbuilt method. So I have just included those on the top, like you can see as a completion classes, and there are some libraries from the courses and the user. So these are needed for my method to return the desired output or to perform the desired operation. Now to understand more about the external API core methods, we can just scroll down and see how we are calling the core functions which we have written, and the parameter types and the return value types, how exactly they are being called over here. So you might go and explore those things, but in this case it's not needed. We just need to know how exactly to write and call these services. Let me tell you more about these parameters what we have mentioned here as an external function parameters. So basically this can be of three types: a list, that is external multiple structure; it can be an object which is an external single structure, or it can be a type as well which is an normal external values. So this is how we define the structure of our API. So the argument I am using here is named as course IDs, which is a type text value. Now if you see this return method, basically it is similar to the above where we are mentioning the parameters, but instead of describing the parameters, it describes the return values. Please do remember that a value can be value required, optional, and default. So if nothing is mentioned, that means a value is value required by default. If you do not pass these parameters, we'll throw an exception. So we are pretty much done with the creation of our methods and the web services. Now this is as a local plugin. Now we need to install the plugin so that our web service get listed into the application, and finally we can do the API call using the URL what you see in your screen. So there is a structure to call these APIs and the parameters we need to pass. So I'm going to show it one by one. So let's first install the plugin and check whether it has really worked or not. So let me show you what exactly I'm expecting from this plugin when I run it successfully. So you see here the topics right now. It's topic 1, topic 2. So all this topic has to be updated with the description what you see there. So once we run our API, call it, then all the description what you see here, the text will be updated into the title of the sections. So the question here is, what happens when I run my API? What exactly is going to return? So here, as on the screen you can see, I'm casting all the return object into an array, and the same has been mentioned as a return parameters as well. So once the API is run, you'll get a JSON array with elements like IDs, message, and updated with those values. The external parameters what you're passing in the parameter function might or might not be the same as the return values, and here you can see I'm passing course IDs as a text, and these are return objects are totally independent of what I'm passing as in the parameters. Now let's take a look back and see what we have done. So we have created a plugin with basically 4 files in it, which is and version.php, external lib.php file, and there is a lang folder in which English is another folder, and inside we have mentioned the language string file, and then we have a db folder in which we are mentioning a file named as services.php where we have written. So we are pretty much ready to install this plugin. So the plugin, as you can see, is already in the right location. So we just need to log in as an admin into the application and click on the site administration. So what happens here is the system will automatically detect if there is a new plugin onboarded, and then it will try to update the DB and install it internally. So it will perform a plugin check over here. As you can see, there is a new local plugin named as custom web services with the version and the sources and the status. So you can just scroll down and click on the update Moodle database now. If there is a table associated with this plugin, it will create the table in the DB, or else it will just install it normally. Now we are done with this one. You can just continue, and that's it. It will take you to the site administration page. Now how to verify that either our plugin is installed or not? We need to cross check. So same method, we need to go to plugins and web services. I'll just close all this first. So we need to scroll down in the plugin tab, go to the bottom of the page, and there is a settings. We need to click on the external services page where exactly we can find our plugin. So here you can see the service has been installed as custom web services. This is our plugin name. Let me try to edit this plugin and see what exactly we get. So we have a name, but the short name seems to be empty, but it's already enabled. So there is nothing we need to change over here. So just save and continue, and it will take you back to the previous page. Now if you want to explore the functions and cross check whether actually the function has come or not, so you can see it's the same function what we have written in our plugin. You can switch back to the plugin and cross check like this. But this is not the actual method. It's written in the services.php, which is being called over here, and the same has to be used in the API call in the URL as wsfunction name. So let me give you a small insight about how to call the API over here. So we have this script written in web services /rest/ server.php, and we need to pass these parameters. So in our case it's just one parameter, and other parameters like Moodle rest format with json, and wsfunction is the name of the function, and the URL. So basically it's going to be a simple HTTP request. So at this point our plugin has been installed and seems to be working fine. Now we need to create a token to use and in the API and to call it. So let's create the token. So we are pretty much done with the third step, that was to create the web service plugin. So this is done. The next step is to create a token. So now let's go back to the administration and click on the manage token link. It will take you to this page where we have to create a token. Creating token for a specific user can be useful if a user doesn't have the Moodle/create token capabilities. So on this page we need to select the user for whom we are creating the token, and I'm choosing admin over here, and the service name we need to select as custom web service which we have created. So if you want to put some restriction on the IP or you want to put a validation date, you can just put on those two options and then save changes. So it will generate a token for the admin user to be used in the API call. We can create as many tokens for as many users depending upon the requirement we have. So these are the settings, you can delete it from here as well. So now we are done with the token part. So let's go back to the to-do list once again and see whether we have captured everything. So the fourth point was to create a token, which we have done. The next step, what exactly we are going to do is to finally call the API using this token we have generated just now. Now let me tell you how to test the web services we have created and how can we visit and call those endpoints from the browser or via curl or using the REST protocols. Now as you can see here, this is the way we can generate the token. So if you do not have access to the application but you have the credentials and the service name, you can go to the Postman or from the browser itself. You can type in those URL with those parameters. So in my system I'm using Postman, which is a very interactive and automatic tool for verifying the APIs. I'm using it. So that depends entirely on you what exactly and how exactly you want to call. So I'm just copying this URL from here, which is basically the site slash login slash token.php, and the parameters I'm going to pass as username, password, and the service name. So let's just type all these parameters and the values, and then we'll try to run and see whether we get the actual token what we have created in the application. So it should return the same token in the Postman call. So here I'm using the username as admin. So basically it's a credential for the admin login. You can use the same. If you don't remember, you can just visit the admin profile and reset the password and use it here itself. As you can see, if you click on the edit profile, and the username seems to be admin, which is correct. The password I know because I have been using it, so you can change it from here if you do not remember. So I'm going to use admin and test@123 as my password. Now there is a catch over here which you might have a question like what exactly the name of the service should be. So there are multiple names appearing on the screen as a plugin name, as a service name, but what exactly to use in the service name whenever we are making a API call. So at this point I'm just copying the plugin name and will try to use in the URL as a parameter. So let's see if this works or not. In the next few minutes we'll come to know. So we're done with all these 3 parameters and let's just send it. So as you can see, this didn't work at all. So there must be some reason. It shows like the service name is not available. What exactly it is looking for? The short name over here, but right now it's empty. The full name is there, but short name is a unique field for a web service, which in our case we haven't mentioned anywhere. So what exactly I'm going to do is just add an element over here as a short name and give a unique value. So because every web service what we are going to create as a custom should and must have a unique name. So as a short name I'm giving it as a custom web service. Let's make it web service. So this is the only change we are doing over here. Let's save this page and check it once. So what happens, the system still doesn't know that there is an update in this plugin. So we need to make sure this plugin gets updated and detected by the system. As you can see, it still not came. So we need to do a thing over here, like we need to upgrade the version.php file so that we have an update. I'm just going to increment the value to 1 and then save it, go to the site administration, and again it will check that okay, there is a version update, so I need to upgrade this plugin. Continue, and you will see the same plugin check over here. The same plugin with the new version has come. The current version also you can see. So basically this gets updated, and now we have our short name available for the web service. So we need to go back to the page where we were on the web service. Now we can reload this page once again and try to edit this time. So we will see here that there is a short name appearing right now as custom web service. So now we are going to copy this short name and use in our API call. This should work 100%. So now I'm going to just erase it and paste it and send the request. So once you do that, as you can see, it has returned a token. If you want to match with the one available in the application, you can just check it over here. You can compare both the tokens are same. So that means if anybody doesn't have an access to the application and want to use this token to make use in other API calls, we can get the token by running this URL, which is available in the login/token.php. It's a script. So the next task for us is to make the final API call, what we have written for updating the course sections. So let's proceed with that. But before I do that, let me tell you, if you do not have Postman installed in your system, then how exactly you are going to call this API. So you can call it directly from the browser. You can just copy and paste the URL onto the browser and it will give you a JSON array. So the same what we are seeing in the Postman call. To make the next API call, I'm just gonna copy this URL and paste it in the Postman in the new tab over here, and I'm going to select the URL of my application. As since it's a localhost, I'm going to copy my localhost address, paste it over here. The remaining URL should be same as your site name /webservice/rest/service.php followed by the token and other parameters. Once you paste the URL here and click on the params, it will list out all the parameters like wstoken, wsfunction, Moodle wsrestformat. Now this is the targeted result we should be having after calling the API. As of now, you can see the topic names are just as topic 1, topic 2. So all these topic titles has to be updated once we call this API. To avoid any mistake in the name of the function, I'm just going to copy it from here and paste it in the parameter value, which is wsfunction. The format will be returning as JSON format, and the other parameter what I have is as course IDs, in which I'm going to pass this course ID. So you can call these parameters directly in the URL or inside a header or inside the body. So that totally depends on what type of request we are going to make it. So let's just send the request, and it shows like we have an invalid token over here. So that means the token we are using is not correct. So let me just cross check it once what we have in the application. Go to the manage tokens and check it whether we are using the right token. I'm just going to copy it from here and paste it directly here. I think we are just left with the old token. So right now we need to update it and send the request once again. So this time it's a success. So as you can see, the ID is 3, message is success, and there are total 38 records which has been updated. Now to cross check, we need to go to the course and reload it once again and see whether the all titles has been updated for the sections or not. So right now, earlier we were seeing as topic 1, 2. Now the description has been copied and used as a title for all the 38 sections inside this course. That means our plugin is working fine. Our web service which we have written is working fine. Now the same thing you can do it from the browser itself. You can just copy this URL and select any Chrome or Firefox or Chromium browser. So I'm just going to paste it on the Chrome and then hit enter. It will show you the same result. So this is formatted way because I'm using an extension over here that is called JSON viewer. So you can check it. If you are using Chrome, you can install this extension, so the formatting will be good. It is useful when you are using large API calls which is returning bigger response data, so the formatting will be easier here. You can read about the web services and how to use them from the Moodle documentation. They have a very huge range of documentation available, ranging from the code level to the documentation referring to the site administration settings and everything else, how to call and write the APIs. Pretty much the same thing what I have explained over here. So we are done with the API writing and calling them. So we have developed a plugin as a local plugin, and I have shown you how to write the API and call them using Postman or the browser. I hope you would have understood the concept of web services in Moodle to a certain extent. So give me a thumbs up if you have got something out of it, and catch me in my next video for more Moodle and other technical stuffs. Thank you. Enjoy.